Welcome to another tech tip brought to you by Align and Enterprise Hobby. My name is Gail, here today to discuss the drive gear mount and the one-way bearing shaft. This will apply for either the 500X or the 470 LP LM version. The one-way bearing shaft is inserted into the drive gear mount, which is this black circular piece on both the models. And it will eventually wear out because this is going into the one-way bearing, and the one-way bearing bites on this part of the actual shaft. And so this part is available separately, and the part number for the 500 is H50G007XXT, and the one required for the 470 will appear in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. I'm going to work with the 500X to show you how to check it, how to remove it, how to replace it. Therefore you can do the routine maintenance. So I've made a couple tools. First, I've taken a block of wood, cut a little indentation with a drill, and put in 2 wooden dowels. That allows me to easily insert the unit and be able to test, or at least try to move the one-way bearing shaft. This is easy to do. Second thing that I've done is I've made a press tool, and I've used an old 550X main shaft, and all I did was cut it off right about the X, and now I have a press tool which you can see when inserted allows me to place it in the press and go ahead and press it out of the actual drive gear mount, and will allow me to press the new one in when I replace, because I'll show you how I'll do that. And I just go ahead and insert it, and now the press will press from the bottom and go ahead and insert it into place. Have a 1.5mm hex tool, some toothpicks, a file, and here's the key to assembling these two parts, is that you need to have the right compound, and you're not using thread lock. So you're not using any type of thread lock like green Loctite, referring to it as like blue Loctite or red Loctite. They have a green Loctite that is a thread lock. So Loctite does offer a green Loctite, which is a thread lock, but it's a different number, and that's for threads. I'm actually using, I'll put it right here in the center, actually using Loctite brand 609 retaining compound. And this product is very similar to what comes in the bigger helicopters, the R48. However, in the smaller helicopters you don't receive it. So if you don't have it, the R48, then go to your local, you can probably purchase it online easier, or McFadden if they have those in your area, or some of the other high-end places that sell product. Online's probably the easiest for most people to obtain it. It looks just like the R48 and the green Loctite in as far as thread lock, but as you can see, it is a retaining compound, and it is specifically made to retain cylindrical slip fit parts and keep them in place so that they don't twist. So we're going to be using the 609 retaining compound, and that's going to allow over 25 pounds of torque pressure for it to snap, and the helicopter doesn't even come close to that when it's driving the rear tail. Okay, if you want to check and see if this is tight, You can go ahead and place it on this little tabletop I made with the dowels, which allow me to torque it. And then I'm going to go ahead and take the shaft, put it in backwards, and insert the 1.5 millimeter tool. You can actually see if you can twist the one-way bearing shaft. If it breaks loose, then you need to fix it. That's just a way to check it if you're concerned. I would be careful, because if you hold too far out on the end of your 1.5 millimeter drive tool, you're going to snap it. And by putting a main shaft inside, it gives a little bit more support all the way through the tool that's touching, and it's just not on the outer edge. So just hold tight and see if you can do that, if you feel that it's necessary to test it. The first thing that we need to do is go ahead and break loose and push this out. Now, this is already loose. You can't turn it with your hands. I can, and the reason I say it's already loose because I already broke it loose, but you can turn it. And if you can do this out of the box, hold just this and be able to turn this, then you need to repress it in place. But they come pre-assembled and they should be okay. And we're going to take this off, and there's two ways that you can try to press it out using the tool and putting in the arbor press, as I'll do. But if it's very, very difficult to take out and it's not breaking free very easily, then what you're going to need to do is apply a little heat just to the aluminum with like a heat gun. That'll break up the material. So just apply a little bit of heat, and be careful because it'll be hot. And then go ahead and put in the shaft after you've done that and press it out, and it should press out right away. So what I'm going to do is, I got a camera over here shooting the press. I'm going to go ahead and take my shaft that's cut off, put it into the one-way bearing shaft. I'm going to gently set it onto the little press. And you can pick these presses up at Harbor Freight or your local hardware store. I think this one was $35, and there's many uses. Not only do I use it for this application, but you use it for pushing out the torque tube drive gears. There's a lot of uses where it just makes everything a lot easier. And you can see very little pressure, and the part slips right out. And you can see that there was retaining compound already in place on the part. This is a brand new one. I'm going to go ahead and reinsert the old one because there's no reason not to. I don't need to use this new part. Now I'm going to go ahead and clean the parts before I reassemble them. And I'm going to clean it with a little acetone. Works well. Now I'm going to do one thing that's maybe a little bit different. Is I use a little circular file, and all I'm going to do is just gently move this and barely touch the inside. So I put about 6 marks, and I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to go ahead and Now we're just going to go ahead and press this back in, but before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and shake up my 609 retaining compound. Take a toothpick and just work it around the inside. It's just a thin layer that you're putting on. So I'm just using a toothpick. According to directions, you want to on the bottle of the 609, you want to twist it as you insert it. So I'm going to go ahead and take my block of wood. Just go ahead and press and see if I can push it in. And slipped into place. I'm going to go ahead and clean off the outside. I know there's a good seal because some material came out and worked just around the inside. So now that needs to dry for 24 hours. Again, according to the instructions on the 609, it does ask for you, when you're doing the cylindrical pieces, to turn around and twist them into place. So that's why I used the block to do that. Now it's got to dry for 24 hours. And it should set up in a couple hours, but want to make sure that it completely dries. And I'm going to go ahead and clean off a little bit. I'll clean off a little bit that's on the outside of the material in the back. If you can't twist it on or apply enough pressure, then you can turn around and use the little press punch piece. Go ahead and insert the tool, and then when you put it into the arbor press will turn around and just gently push the one-way bearing shaft to the drive gear mount. Now I just need to let it sit for 24 hours and it'll be good to go. Will not be coming apart. I'm going to load a video which will demonstrate the amount of force required to dislodge the one-way bearing shaft from the drive gear mount. The actual torque tool, which will demonstrate that 140 kilograms of force per centimeter is required in order to dislodge the one-way bearing shaft from the drive gear mount. Converted into US pounds, that's 121.5 pounds of force per inch in order to dislodge the one-way bearing shaft. The helicopter does not have that type of force. Therefore, when you install the one-way bearing shaft correctly into the drive gear mount, it will hold, and there's no reason to be drilling or altering the parts in any way. In fact, it is not recommended to do that. Alright, this video covered how to either resecure the one-way bearing shaft into the drive gear mount for the 470 or the 500X, or install a brand new one. And I want to touch on one point. This is using Loctite brand 609 retaining compound, and you can see right here it says press fit, which that's what we did, is press fit, and the part number is 60921. This is an expansion compound, so it's going to turn around and fill all the voids, and this will be rock solid tomorrow when we install in the helicopter. And it's proven to hold up without any question. Ben Stork flies the heck out of a helicopter along with Alan. We've had no problems with this piece slipping if you install it correctly, or at least you do preventive maintenance or check your work. So I know there are some people out there that are suggesting that you alter this unit by drilling holes and setting in set screws, which Align doesn't recommend that you alter it, nor do I recommend that you alter it, when there's a simple remedy of installing the part correctly using the proper materials. So again, if you use the retaining compound, it is for cylindrical parts that are press fit. It's going to be rock solid in here and not slip. It's proven that it works, and I would not recommend drilling or altering the parts in any way. That's a lot of work, unnecessary, to obtain a solid fit without slippage using proper materials. Again, my name is Gail. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. As always,